This is going to be some holistic, integrative thinking about the immune system. So I'm going to look at that activity, the immune system, without necessarily breaking it into parts or separating it from the other systems of the body. And when you do that, it's like you kind of turn the noun of the immune system into a verb. Because it's an activity that the entire body does. Your immune system, like it's kind of your identify friend foe, and the immune system could be thought of as all murderous self-protection activity. Right, so we think of the immune system as like targeting, microbes or small things and rejecting them, but really the immune system is the verb of self-defense. So that's killing and removing anything that is a danger to you. So it's kind of we'll call it the shadow or the violent side of the ego. Right? Like the ego is the activity of kind of selfing. So like the positive side of the ego would be the things that you do to build yourself up. Creating a body, creating relationships, creating a sense of self, creating an identity. That would be kind of the positive aspects of the ego, and then the negative aspect could be kind of the immune system, and that would be destroying everything about you that is not yourself. So that would be everything from infections to cancer, parasites, enemies, ideas. Like you have an immune system against damaging ideas. Right? You reject concepts, thought forms, informations, philosophies that are threatening to you, food, etc. Right? So it's like that's what the immune system is, and it's all one singular intelligence. And you'll notice that you're pretty much good at all levels of that, like at all levels of defending yourself against physical attackers, human attackers, animal attackers, microbial attackers, parasites. You pretty much have a roughly similar skill set across all those different fractals of that activity. Like if you're not very good at defending yourself against another human or an animal, you're probably relatively weak against microbes and other such things like that. There's multiple avenues of defense. There's just, like a robust, I can be exposed and encounter something immunity. There's immunity through avoidance or cleanliness, lack of, avoiding confrontation, right? So you avoid dangerous people, you avoid dangerous microbes. Brute strength, skill-based strength, right? And so, and then in the same way, there's multiple ways of like building up your sense of self or your ego via relationships with other people, relationships with animals, relationships with objects, relationships with your body, relationships with ideas. That's kind of the positive or the constructive aspect of the ego, and then the negative or the destructive aspect of the ego would be that kind of immune system. And then they're all working together. There's no isolated like immune system. It's like your nervous system is your immune system. Your digestive system is your immune system. Your whole body is your immune system, because that self-defense isn't a full body activity. right? So there's this kind of like imaginary notion that there's an immune system apart from everything else, or an isolated like object or thing that can be tweaked without altering the entire self. But like if you alter how you approach microbes, you're going to alter how you approach people, because you're a singular intelligence, acting across multiple levels or multiple planes of being. So it's just fascinating that people are letting the violent aspect of their ego be programmed by drug companies, like literally programmed. Like people are letting their body accept code, genetic code. It's such a strange event. This RNA stuff. Everyone just writes it off as like absolutely nothing, but it's like it's accepting multiple doses of foreign code in such an unnatural way into the body with a protein that has so many different strange effects. Like they're studying it, they're finding that that spike protein finds its way into cell nucleuses in vitro, at least, and it interferes with DNA repair. And it interferes with a lot of different enzymes in the cell nucleus responsible for just DNA health, replication health. And then it seems to have often catastrophic cardiovascular impacts. And it's like, if the DNA disruption is happening in vivo, it's like that's one of those things that's like months or possibly years downstream in terms of seeing like the full impact of that. It's kind of like similar to how everyone was like, oh yay, like margarine is super good for you, and then it turns out that as it gets introduced and incorporated into cells, it causes irreversible damage, like the trans fat. Irreversible damage once incorporated. And it's the same thing. You cause replication errors in cells, and then that cell lineage is irreversibly destroyed or mutated. Like in the best case scenario, if you cause genetic damage, the best case scenario is that cell kills itself and you lose lifespan in that tissue. So that tissue will enter into I think it's called senescence or old age much earlier. It'll lose the ability to replicate and heal itself. Like each cell has only so many divisions that it can do. So like if a cell that has 20 or 30 divisions left in its life, if it gets damaged to the point where it has to kill itself rather than divide, that you lose a cell you lose like 30 chances of cellular renewal. So if that spike protein's getting into cells and causing even a little bit of damage at that genetic level, and during replication, you'd be causing random pockets of extreme old age in the body. This is similar to radiation damage. Like it could be causing something almost identical to radiation damage, but chemically. Same thing with the heart damage. Like heart cells don't reproduce. They don't divide. So when you kill a heart cell, it's like it's inducing old age. So there's that going on with these treatments, and then it's such an unnatural situation, and it's programming the most violent aspect of the ego to like, because the immune system is there to destroy something, right? So it's like you're putting the RNA code into the body, and then your own cells start making this potentially damaging cytotoxic, cardiovascular toxic protein, and then the immune system, the ego, the violent aspect of the ego, is watching all that, and then like programming itself and learning what to do. And you'd have to see it. It's going to learn. I don't see how that would cause like an autoimmune reaction. It was like, which is when the ego starts to target the self and destroy aspects of the self that should be preserved. And then, I mean, who knows what else is? Who knows what sort of cross reactions this would have at the conscious or the human level, because if you change your behavior at the cellular level, you're going to change your behavior at the human level. So if your immune system gets programmed funny, then your human to human behavior could start behaving funny, because it's like humans are also, we're all one, we're like cells in a body. So if you get some sort of weird autoimmune reaction from your molecular aspects being programmed funny, then your social aspects could get super screwy. Like people could start getting incredibly sociopathic and violent towards each other, and that would be the equivalent of a social level autoimmune disorder, right? So it's like you're being programmed by the likes of like sort of Pfizer, Klaus Schwab, World Economic Forum, like just people that have, Bill Gates, like known sociopathic, megalomaniac people with criminal, like massive criminal histories. Are programming the most violent aspects of people's ego. So if you, I don't know, like if you see people flying off the rails, it's because it's like there's not an immune system. It's like when you accept these treatments from people, it's like you are being programmed, like your ego, your little sort of identify friend foe AI is being programmed, and it's not just this isolated thing that only looks at quote unquote viruses. It's like there's one reality, and I just like I was aghast that people were into this, and now I'm mostly concerned for people. I'm kind of ready to die. So I don't care how violent people get, or if I get killed or starve to death, or like whatever totalitarian horrors might spring up from this. But like I'm mostly concerned for the people that chose to go down that road, to let who they are be programmed by these forces. I don't know what that just seems like such utter soul torment. To let that stream of thought and development into the self, it's so materialistic. It's like there's no, to let these people with no belief in a human soul, with no belief in any meaning, to do these strange materialistic experiments on people. And then to like clamor for it and demand it, I don't like, it's like this science of it. It's like people are so empty and vacuous that it's hard to come to terms with what it would. It's like, so I don't It's so hard to imagine what it would be like to have an existence like that. Like to be that checked out. I hope there's some sort of, I don't know, good or awakening or something that comes from all of this, instead of just the exit of all the good people in the world through their like slaughter and murder. It seems like if people aren't into all this, it seems increasingly crazy to the people who are buying into this like materialistic oversimplification of reality.